So I'd like to show you how to do the onion poultice. Now we're going to pretend, and God gave us imagination, we're going to pretend that I have just steamed or dry baked this onion. Don't boil it in water because some of the healing properties will go into the water. Question?
Does it have to be a red onion?
Doesn't have to be a red onion, can be any onion. I think my communication got mixed up. I think they thought I meant a red onion, but you can do any onion. You can do a white onion, you can do a brown onion, and it must be steamed or dry baked. And then it is cut in half. So you see the rings. And then what you can do is you can squeeze it. It'll be boiling hot, but the juice will go into the cool spoon and that'll cool it down a little bit, and then that can be poured into the ear. That's something that I have since learned. And then you wrap the onion in a cloth, and it's nice to have a great big cloth. Jeremy, can you come up and sit here for me? Jeremy has kindly agreed to be my patient, and I've assured him he will survive the experience. So depending on how hot it is, and it will be boiling, you put it on your arm to just test if it's the right temperature. And then you can cover it with a piece of wool square, which is what they did in the old days, or you can cover it with a piece of plastic. So I use the Glad wrap, and I just fold it over a few times, and that makes it a little thicker, a little bit more workable. So you've got basically a thick bit there. Then you've got your onion here. And then let's say Jeremy's left ear, he's got an ache, then you put it on the ear like this. Now what you can do, you can bandage it around the head like that, and that'll bandage quite nicely around and keep it on there. Or sometimes people will put a little woolly beanie on that's quite snug. And what would happen if Jeremy did have an earache? That will bring a lot of relief. And ideally, you lay him down on a soft pillow with his head on it. And it won't hurt because the onion is, remember, nice and soft now, and the pillow will take it in a little bit, and it'll keep it nice and warm. See, what you want is to keep this warm. The longer it's kept warm, you can keep it on. If this onion goes cold, then that would increase the ache. What onion does is it absorbs poisons, and it's a drawer. So it will draw out of the ear. Now, if Jeremy had an infection the other side of the eardrum, then the body would make a little hole in the eardrum and the pus would come out of the ear. Not a problem. If the body makes a hole, guess what? The body will heal the hole. But if you poke a needle into your eardrum, no, you're in problem. If the body does it, remember the body knows what to do. It can heal itself. Sometimes there's no need to make a hole in the eardrum, and if there's no need, well, the body won't. And sometimes the body can just take the waste away through the bloodstream, the lymphatic system bloodstream. So that is a cooked onion poultice. Now let's say Jeremy had a boil on his arm. Let's say he's got a boil on his arm here. You can put, not the same one of course, a fresh one, you can put the cooked onion poultice on his arm and then bandage that on. Now because Jeremy's just 7, this is probably an overkill the size of this onion. We probably need a smaller onion and make a smaller poultice. But what do you do for the boil? You just leave it on. You can even leave it on for quite a long time. The plastic will keep it warm, and when you take it off, often all the waste will come out. So not only does the onion poultice remedy the problem by pulling the waste out, but it also brings great relief. In fact, a friend of mine, he used to do the onion poultice for his children, and they were travelling one day in the car, and his son, who was only 6 at the time, he yelled out, "Dad, I need an onion!" He had an earache. He said, "We're travelling," so I went to a restaurant and I said, "Excuse me, can I just buy an onion?" Because it was evening. The guy said, "Yeah," brought it out and he goes, "Would you mind microwaving it for me?" And I said, "Righto." So he microwaved it and brought it out, and the guy had a cloth for it. And the guy in the restaurant said, "What are you going to do with it?" He said, "I'm going to put it on my son's ear. He's got an earache." The guy had never heard anything like it. Now, microwaving's not the best, but you know what? In a crisis, you do what you can. So, cooked onion for earache and for boil. They're the 2 main places you do cooked onion. Boil. So the next one I'm going to look at is we're going to use raw onion. And this poultice that I'm about to do is a poultice that you do for a congested chest and even a congested head of any sort. And you chop the onion up in little pieces and you put it in a plastic bag and you put it on the foot. Jeremy, would you mind taking your sock and your shoe off for me, please? I'll just do it on one foot, but of course usually you would do it on both feet. Now I've seen this have remarkable effects many times. I was with my daughter and her little 3-year-old was coughing. He had a bad cold. And he coughed and he coughed and he coughed and he coughed. She put him to bed and we thought he'll go to sleep in a minute. But he coughed and he coughed and he coughed and he coughed. And after an hour I said, we'll put an onion poultice on his feet. So can you see I've just got the onion in the plastic bag. And this is what we did. We put you put your foot up really high. Thanks. So everyone can see that. You just put the foot in the bag on top of the onion and then twist the bag round and round. And then you put the sock on and the sock will hold it in place. It's a nice stretchy sock, that's what we want. See how that'll hold it in place? And just check that the onion's all on the bottom of the foot. Now that won't be very comfortable to walk on, but you do it just before they go to bed. And that will never blister or hurt the skin. Anyway, we did it to my little grandson, and it's almost unbelievable, not one more cough. And he'd been coughing for 1 hour. And we put the onion on the bottom of his foot, and he slept all night. I'm just warning women, if you do this, your husband won't like the perfume. But hey, it's worth it. So for congestion, in the sinuses and the head and the chest, it's such a simple thing to do. It's just the onion on the feet. You can even do it every night and it will not hurt or blister the feet.